We can afford a $5,000 deductible, but we can't afford the cut in coverages where it could cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars. So be wise with what we're trying to save. Be wise with our coverage. The surges in the commercial auto policies have come really at the expense of a lot of businesses, not just in the auto, but also in their general liability. Just think, prior to COVID, there was no such thing in the state of Connecticut and many other states that liquor stores were actually making deliveries. It was actually illegal. But during COVID times, things had to change in order for businesses to survive. While businesses were surviving, remember, the risks were changing. A lot of these risks by the carriers had changed while the premiums had not changed. They had not changed because they weren't prepared for all of the changes that were taking place. Businesses had to evolve in order to survive. With that survival has come at more of a risk for carriers. Carriers were taking on risks but weren't charging because of the swift changes due to COVID. So as we see, and things are continuing to change, we're only hoping that there gets to be some consistency with our commercial rates. But it looks like there will not be consistency if we can't get a real grip on the ever-changing risks. So how businesses continually change. As you see, we've had weather changes. We've had storms that have just really caused havoc in the insurance world. This havoc is going to be at our expenses. There will be surges in prices, but we need to be wise with our commercial insurance. We really need to make sure we're protected. Don't cut and take shortcuts on liability coverage. If you're going to take shortcuts, look at deductibles. Your commercial policies, you can afford higher deductibles, but you can't afford cutting coverages. Your future business relies on that liability, so don't cut coverages. Raise deductibles. One of the biggest misconceptions is when they get their increases, especially on their homeowner's policy. What we're not realizing is in the last 24 months, we have seen your building contents, plywood and 2x4s, surge in pricing. The biggest misconception is, hey, I had no claims, my price went up. One thing we have to make sure that we are aware of, your coverage A, which is your actual policy covering your home, the destruction of your home, has taken a significant increase. For example, the average house 2-3 years ago per square foot was about $200 to replace. And now, 24 months later, we're pretty much seeing on a regular basis $300 per square foot. That's a $100 change. What's causing this is obviously the supply and demand, right? What's causing this is while materials go up, your coverage A has to go up. So your coverages are increasing. So make sure that you look at how much your coverage is increased versus how much your premium actually increased. So just make sure, in some cases, it looks like your premium is surging, but in some cases what we're seeing is your coverage A is increased by so much, and the premium jumped because you have significantly more coverage due to the $200 per square foot to rebuild a house to now it's over $300 a square foot. So make sure you're looking at your policy so you understand. Did your increases come because of increases, or did your increases on your policy come because of your coverages have been increased? Understand your coverages. And if you don't understand your coverage, make sure you reach out to an independent agent. Your independent agent is going to sit down with you and review all of your coverages to make sure not only do you understand that you have the right coverages for your certain circumstances. So making sure your coverages are accurate and correct and to the best of what you want is absolutely critical to making sure if you have a claim, you understand what's covered and what's not. One of the biggest things we're seeing on the delays of claims is number one is communication. A lot of miscommunication or lack of follow through in communication. Number two, we're seeing, for example, on auto claims, the police reports are substantially longer than what we were seeing 2, 3, 4 years ago. We would get a police report in 5 to 7 business days. We're not actually seeing these reports for a minimum of 14 business days. In a lot of cases, it's taken 20, 21 business days. Those are causing delays in the payments of claims. There are other circumstances. What we're seeing is claims adjusters are really being overworked. So that bad communication isn't always coming because they're trying to ignore you. What's happening is there are so many claims being put in that these claims adjusters are taking on 2, 3 times the work that they had 2 or 3 years ago. These are all things that are playing a role in the slowing down of your claim.